Welcome everyone to another live stream with me, Heather Austin. I'm so excited to see you guys in the chat. I'm so excited to jump on YouTube today and share some easy resume steps with you that will help you get hired. Not to mention, today we are also doing resume reviews. So if you can hear audio and video is coming through on your end, okay, give this video a big, huge thumbs up. And also tell me in the chat, where are you joining me from today? Tell me in the chat where you're joining me. I can already see a lot of you here. I'm going to say hi to you. Looks like Joe is here. You jumped in first. So happy to have you. We have Neva here from Honolulu. Hello, one of my favorite places to visit on planet Earth. Laura is here. Linda, hello. So happy you're here. Also, Tori's here, you guys. If you have not yet met Tori, she is my fabulous assistant. She is here taking your comments and getting your questions in front of me. She's also monitoring the chat today for us. So we're so happy to have Tori here. Janice is here from India. Patricia is here from Georgia. So happy to have you guys. We have Alabama in the house, Vancouver, Chicago, Florida, California. Oh my goodness. I could just say hello to you guys all day long, but we have some fantastic content to get into. Make sure you, again, hit the thumbs up video on this video so that I can see that you're here. Also, tell us where you're joining us from today. I want to make sure the audio is coming through. It looks like it is. Looks like you guys can hear me, and we are ready to dive in. So today we are covering how to write a resume that will get you hired in 5 easy steps. Plus, we are doing resume reviews. Now, let me just tell you, and Tori, you'll have to tell me if I'm right on this. This is the most resumes we've ever received ever for a show. Like, we had hundreds of resumes to sift through, and I had the hardest time narrowing down on the ones to review for the show. But let me tell you, I've picked some fabulous ones that if yours didn't get picked, you are still going to learn quite a bit today, because the ones I picked are amazing to critique on this show today. So I hope you guys will tune in for that. We're going to do that at the end once I share my 5 tips with you. The other thing I want to share with you guys today, because it is Halloween here in the States coming up in a couple of days, we are holding a flash sale for the Career Advancement Toolkit. If you guys do not have this toolkit yet, make sure you jump over to professораustin.com/live offer. Tori's also going to pop it into the chat. It will also be down below in the comments. I'll share a little bit more with you about the toolkit as we go through today's live session, but we are holding a 2-day flash sale on this toolkit because I want you to go into the fall season with the exact tools and strategies you need to get more interviews and better job offers. So make sure you take a look at that link. Now, let's jump into our content for today. If you guys have ever joined me on a live stream, you know I love slides, so I'm going to give you some slides. I am a very visual learner, and I want to give you guys as much as I can in terms of your visual learning capabilities here. So today, write a resume that gets you hired, 5 easy steps plus resume reviews. Now, I would love to know in the chat, before we jump into these 5 steps, I want to know what's the hardest part about writing your resume. So tell me, what do you struggle with the most when it comes to actually writing your resume? So I popped this question into our Facebook group a couple days ago, well, actually yesterday, and we had a lot of responses. So Darcy said she has a hard time figuring out the algorithms used by applicant tracking systems. We also had Joanna jump in, and she said editing your resume for each application. We also had someone talk about how they have a hard time bragging about themselves, right? We also had someone say, just selling myself. George popped in and said selling himself. So tell me in the chat, what do you struggle with the most, or what's the hardest part about resume writing for you? And then we're going to jump into all the good details. Now, while you guys are typing that into the chat, let me just remind you, if you don't know who I am, my name is Heather Austin from professораustin.com. And on this channel, I help professionals like you find your dream job so that you can grow and land a career that you love. Now, I've been a university professor for 15 years, and I've recently turned into an entrepreneur. So now, instead of teaching university students, I'm now teaching you how to do these amazing things with your career. Again, my number one goal is to help you find your dream job so you can grow in a field you love. Most of you probably know me from YouTube. If you haven't seen one of my videos, if you search YouTube for how to write a resume, you're going to see a lot of my videos pop up. We have helped hundreds of thousands of job seekers land their dream jobs just from the content that we share here on YouTube and out there on the internet. So I hope you guys will stick with me until the end for some fantastic information. Let me kind of see what you guys are saying in terms of what is the most difficult part about writing a resume. The chat's moving super fast, so I'll try and keep up with you guys. Brent says what to leave out with a wide array of experience. Kathy says professional summary. I have another career summary in here. Someone says the hardest part for me is showing results from previous jobs. We're going to talk about that today. Someone says simplest are the things that at times become the most difficult. Introduction. Yes, I totally feel you there. Let's see. What else do we have? How to attractively include skills within your responsibilities. Oh my goodness. We're going to cover all this today. So I'm going to share with you guys 5 easy steps before we jump into resume reviews. Here's step number 1. Again, take notes. Make sure you turn off all your distractions because we have some fantastic content to cover with you. Also, pop your questions into the chat. Tori is going to be taking your questions and getting them in front of me so that I can answer them at the end of today's live stream. So step number 1, to write a resume that will get you hired is to tell a compelling career story using your summary. So if you didn't know this, at the very top of your resume, right below your contact information is your professional summary, okay? Your professional summary is the very first thing that a hiring official is going to read when they look at your resume. So I'm going to give you some tips here when it comes to telling a compelling story using your summary. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind is your summary is a short, concise paragraph with 3 to 4 sentences. It's not going to be an entire novel. You're not going to include 2 paragraphs of information. It's just 1 paragraph with 3 to 4 sentences. You're going to explain in those 3 to 4 sentences who you are, who you help, and how you help them, okay? Those 3 things need to be in your paragraph. Basically, you're going to be talking about what you can do for a company, okay? How are you helping that company? The next thing, when it comes to your summary, I want you to think of it as your 30-second pitch. So this is where you're basically going to explain your professional background and the experience that you have and how it helps a company solve a particular problem. Okay, so let me say that again. You're going to explain your background and the experience that you have and how that is going to help a company solve a particular problem. The next thing when it comes to your summary is you need to discuss your specialty and what makes you an expert, okay? So my goal for you is when you create your summary, that you're creating a summary that gets the hiring official to take action right then. We want to convince them right up front that you are the perfect fit for that position. And maybe you're not the perfect fit, okay? Maybe someone else out there is a better match, but the point is that you're getting them to take action. Think of your summary as sort of like a sneak peek to a movie, okay? It's like a movie trailer and you want to hook them with that movie trailer because you want them to go see the movie, right? Well, your resume is the movie and your summary is the sneak peek. The last thing I want to mention on summary, and again, get your guys' questions into the chat if you have them, is if you have more than 5 years of work experience, I want you to add a highlights section. So summary is a little bit different than highlights. Your summary, again, is just your 3 to 4 sentences in one paragraph. Highlights is going to come after that, okay? We'll talk a little bit more about how to write your highlights in a second, but just know if you have more than 5 years of work experience, you want to add a highlights section. Let me show you guys a quick example here. Here is just a quick example of a summary. So you'll notice that we are making an introduction in this summary. This is, again, the first thing that the hiring official is going to look at. You want to start with your unique identifier, followed by your 3 keywords. Again, you guys have seen this before if you've attended my live streams. If you haven't, and this is new to you, you're going to have a unique identifier. You're going to have 3 keywords that are basically the key skills associated with that position. Then that's where your paragraph comes in 3 to 4 sentences, explain what you can do for the company. Okay. Again, think of this as your sneak peek. You're making some promises, okay, using your summary, and then the rest of your resume is backing up those promises. Now, let's jump into step number 2. Follow ATS guidelines. So if you guys don't know what ATS is, it's applicant tracking system. This is what hiring officials use to quickly screen candidates. Okay, most of you, if you are job seekers, you probably have had your resume go through some sort of ATS system before. It's basically what they look at to say, hey, do we want to bring this person in for an interview? Yes or no? And if your resume does not match ATS requirements, you're not getting called in for an interview. So I'm going to quickly cover ATS guidelines. And again, we're going to jump into reviews in just a minute here, guys. So ATS guidelines: no columns or tables, no images, charts, or graphics. Use clear hierarchy. Okay, so this is where you're going to have your headings, like your summary, your work experience. You're going to have education. You might have some other sections on your resume as well. Use clear hierarchy. We need to know exactly what those sections are. You want to include keywords. So again, keywords will be found specifically in the job posting or in your industry. So if you are in a specific industry, there are certain keywords that your industry uses. Those have to be in your resume. And then finally, upload in Word format. Now, I want to ask you guys a quick question here. What's one thing you can do to make your resume ATS ready? So I know that there's some things on here that some of you aren't doing. What's one thing you can use to make your resume ATS ready? So let me show the list again. No columns or tables, no images and charts or graphics. This might be a surprise to some of you. Use clear hierarchy, include your keywords, and upload in Word format. So with that being said, what's one thing you can do to make your resume ATS compliant? Make sure also, you guys, you get your questions into the chat. Tori's going to be popping those in front of me so that I can get those answered. It looks like we have a couple in here already. I'm going to answer Darby's question. Darby says, is it okay to bullet point your professional summary versus a paragraph? Darby, no. What I recommend instead is having your paragraph and then having your highlight section right under that with bullet points. So you will technically have bullet points in the summary section, but that's if you are including a professional highlights section. I'll show you an example of that again. Patricia says, how do I write ageism proof resume? Patricia, I'm going to give you a short, quick answer for that. Make your summary knock out. Okay, we want your summary to catch them right in the beginning so that as they're scrolling through and they see, yeah, this person is a very experienced person, that's not deterring them at all. You're leading with your experience, your wisdom, all the things that you can bring to the table that someone without that experience can't bring. Good question, Patricia. Okay, step number 3. Build results-driven achievement statements. So I'm going to share with you guys a formula and an example in just a second, but I can't tell you how many times we get resumes every single day. We're looking at resumes. We're helping people improve their resumes. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't tell us what they did or what they accomplished while they were in that position. They're just giving us like the task, like I performed this task, but you're not saying what you did. Like, how did you, what achievement did you make because of that? What results did you see because of that task? So let me show you a quick formula. You may have seen this before. This is a super easy formula. I call it a secret formula because I like the word secret, but it's really not. It's actually a formula that all of you should have. Take a screenshot of this if you need to. You're going to start with an action verb plus a task plus a result. An action verb plus a task plus a result. Now let me show you really quickly an example. And we're going to jump into reviews in just a second here. So here's an example. This is from a client of mine just recently, last week. On her resume, she says, established internal supervisory reviews via order management system. I was like, well, what did that do? Like, because you established those systems, what happened? Like, what was the result of that? So instead of just established internal supervisory reviews via order management system, we're now going to add on top of that, increasing order fulfillment by 20%. So notice how she had her action verb and she had the task. We just didn't have the result. Okay, so you just got to make sure you get that result on there. I want you to evaluate every single bullet point on your resume and make sure you have a result. Now, here's the thing. We talk a lot about numbers and data in all my live streams and all the videos I do. Numbers and data are critical, and I want you to get as many numbers and data on each of these bullet points as you can. However, if you don't have an exact number to put on there, don't be afraid to estimate, okay? Don't be afraid to put like a general estimation of what you think that might be, okay? Don't think I have to have this exact number for this to actually mean something, okay? Get creative with your numbering, which leads us to step number 4, which is get creative. Now, let me throw out a quick, this is just going to be a quick one for you really quickly. When I mention get creative, what I want you to think about is I want you to think about other sections you can add to your resume. Okay. So for example, we have our general summary. We'll most likely have a highlight section. We'll most likely have an experience section. We'll most likely have an education section, but you don't have to stop there. Okay. I want you to think of technical skills, especially for some of my more experienced workers. Think of skills that you're learning every day right now, computer skills, software skills, whatever that might be, that you can add to a technical skill section or software that you're using in your industry, okay? The other sections that I love to see on resumes is like a professional and volunteer involvement section or memberships. Anything that shows that you are active in your industry, make sure you get that onto your resume. And then finally, the 5th step before we get into reviews is reach out to your network. I cannot emphasize this enough. I know this doesn't go in terms of technical resume writing, but reach out to your resume. I had a client last week that I was working with. We've been working for probably a few weeks now on her resume and getting it sent out and applying for positions and all sorts of things. And she was kind of getting discouraged. And she's like, Heather, I just feel like my resume is not getting attention. It's not getting noticed. What else can I do? Well, we talked about her network and I said, who do you know? Who can you start networking with? She went to Facebook. She found a neighborhood group. So this is a neighborhood group. This is not even professionals, okay? This is like people she doesn't really know, but like she's in this group. She put out a post on Facebook and said, hey, you guys, I've been hit by COVID. My position was eliminated. Does anyone have any good job leads? Within probably like an hour, she had someone reach out to her that worked for Goldman Sachs and said, hey, yeah, we're hiring. I can put you in touch with some people. She had an interview scheduled by the end of the day. So that's how fast it happens when you are involving other people and you're reaching out to your network. Interviews can happen within days, and she's already interviewed and she's on to her next set of interviews with that company. She would have never found that opportunity if she would not have popped into her Facebook group and said, hey, I'm looking for some opportunities. So don't be afraid to reach out to your network. Now, I want to know in the chat, what's one thing you can do today based on everything that I gave you to improve your resume? What's one thing you can do today to improve your resume? And while you guys are typing that in, I want to see some good responses here. You're probably here today because you're struggling with the formatting of your resume or trying to figure out what's relevant and what's not. Maybe you have a hard time narrowing down on all of your overlapping positions, or maybe you just have trouble with your resume summary. I know some of you mentioned that earlier. Or maybe you've been hit by the COVID pandemic and you're wondering, well, what are my next steps? Let me tell you something really quickly. I don't have like a secret potion. I'm not a magician. I don't have access to like any special tools, but what I do have is a system that works. And I want to share with you guys a couple of success stories from people right now that are getting employed right now. So Erica accepted a remote position as a technical writer. Erica says, I'm thrilled to let you know I've been offered and accepted a remote position as a technical writer. Today I received a package with all the equipment to handle the job, laptop, 2 monitors, etc. Isn't that amazing? So she's already getting her home office set up. What she goes on to say, and this is the most amazing thing about her story, is that she was originally offered a very low salary. but she actually went into the hiring managers and told them that she was concerned about that salary. She had courage to negotiate. She had courage and the confidence to talk about it. And what ended up happening is she ended up getting paid what she wanted, which is amazing. And most of us get scared to talk about that stuff. Here's what happened to Antonio. He was hired on the spot during the lockdown. So he says, I got interviewed today and got hired on the spot. Let me share with you guys another success story. Dustin landed an interview with a major sports broadcasting company. He says, just landed an interview with a major sports broadcasting company. Wouldn't have been able to do it with Professor Austin's cover letter advice. Now, I want to invite you guys to join me inside of the Career Advancement Toolkit. I mentioned earlier that I had a special offer for you for our Halloween flash sale. So if you have not yet heard, the Career Advancement Toolkit is an exclusive suite of resources. There's templates, there's guides, there's instructions, there's examples, there's video lessons, there's all that good stuff to help you secure your next job offer. Now is the time for you to apply an interview with confidence. I want to share with you guys a few more success stories. So Candace landed a job during the ongoing pandemic. She says, I got the job. And a lot of these stories are just recent, like this week or this month. She says, I got the job. Thanks for your videos and templates. They were extremely helpful. I truly think they helped me land a job during the ongoing pandemic. Terry says, Terry landed a fabulous job offer, even though he was 10 years out of the job search market. He says, your guidance helped me polish up my LinkedIn, rev up my resume, and helped me ace the interview to land a fabulous job offer for a position that I believe I truly enjoy. He was 10 years out of the job search market. Emma landed a job in a new sector. So I know I have a lot of you that are transitioning careers or trying to think of something else to do because of COVID. She landed a job in a new sector after being made redundant due to COVID. So she says, I start my new job in a new sector on November 2nd. She says, thank you, Heather, for all of your amazing resources. I know they helped me communicate my career story, which you guys know I talk a lot about that, transferable skills and experience more effectively. Now, let me show you really quick before we get into reviews what's inside of the Career Advancement Toolkit. Dozens of done for you templates, and I'm adding templates there all the time, new templates, bonus video lessons, my perfect cover letter how-to guide, my LinkedIn Essentials starter pack, my ultimate guide to surviving your job search, which we all could use some of that right now. And I'm going to give you guys a fast action bonus. I love fast action bonuses because I want you to take action right now so that you can be in a different spot in 1 month or in 1 week so that you're not in the same position a year from now or 6 months from now or even 3 months from now. So the first 20 people to grab the Career Advancement Toolkit will receive a free cover letter workshop. This is 5 bonus video lessons where you'll learn how to use your cover letter as a mini sales presentation. Now, Tori will vouch for me on this. Last time we did this, these 20 spots were gone before I finished the live stream. So normally these fast action bonuses go super, super fast. If you have been thinking about the Career Advancement Toolkit, we haven't done a flash sale on the toolkit for quite a while. If you've been thinking about it, now is definitely a time. Inside the toolkit is a total value, all the templates, the trainings, the guides, the resources of worth more than $500. But today you can grab the toolkit for $67. So you save $100 on the toolkit. Don't miss out. You can start now and save $100 off the full price. You'll have access immediately as soon as you sign up. Even if we're on the live stream right now, you will have access to it before we even finish the live stream. All you need to do is go to professoraustin.com/live offer. Tori's popped the link into the chat. I'm also going to pop it down below into the comments. Let me share a couple more success stories with you guys. Myra landed a new job and continues to get traction. So here's an amazing story. She says, thanks to Professor Austin and her toolkit, I've had so much more traction in my job search. She says, not too many days ago, I accepted a new role. So she actually accepted the job. She was well on her way into this new position, But then she says, I found a voicemail left by another recruiter from a different company. It was one of her first choice companies who said they would love to talk to me more about this other role. And she says, this was my dream job. So imagine facing you've already accepted a job offer and you keep getting traction on your resume and your career documents. Here's what happened with Amy. She's also a career switcher. She switched careers and landed a new job. She says, officially got the job. I got the job offer last week. Guys, this is all people right now. These are things happening to people right now. She says, my first day is the second week of November. I'm super excited. She says, I'm doing a career change. I'm now a project manager. Woo, woo, she said. And then she goes on to say, and the company has some amazing benefits. Let me share a couple more examples with you guys. So Charlotte says, I was gobsmacked how much of a difference the toolkit has made in my job search. She says, my job search is going so much more effectively now that I've worked through my resume, my LinkedIn profile, and now written a cover letter using her guidance. She says, I'm gobsmacked how much of a difference it has made. And I have even more stories. Amber landed a new job. She says, my first week at my new job is complete. Julia gave us an update just recently. I just accepted the job. Michelle, I accepted a job offer today and it's 2 minutes from her house. If that's not better than remote work, I don't know what is. Well, remote work's pretty good. And Terry says, I got a full-time job with benefits doing something I love. So all of these people are landing jobs they love. We're going to jump into resume reviews in just a second. I have a few more stories with you. Tania says, I am finally employed again in an industry I love and know well. She says, after being put on temp leave and subsequently terminated in July of 2020 due to COVID. And then she goes on to say, below is a summary of my stats. I love stats. After having used your tips and templates from the Career Advancement Toolkit, she says, I applied to a total of 9 positions, and this was LinkedIn and Indeed. She says, I got 6 interview requests that all led to second interviews. And then she goes on to say, I received 3 offers. And then one last story for you guys. Abraham, he says, following your advice landed me my dream job today. With my limited work experience in the field, I was able to prepare the most amazing CV and cover letter with your advice. He says, I got half a dozen calls from different companies the past few weeks, and each hiring manager complimented him on the attention to detail on his CV and his cover letter. He says, many of them even mentioned that he was their first choice. He's like, after years of applying to hundreds of jobs during my career, your advice has to be the best I've gotten. So if you guys want to have results like these individuals, jump into the Career Advancement Toolkit today. Remember, the first 20 people that take advantage of our flash offer, our flash sale, which will probably be finished by the time we are done with today's live stream. I still encourage you to grab the toolkit. This is a flash sale. We're not sure if we're going to even offer this flash sale again this year. So if you want to have the tools and the resources you need moving into the fall to help you with your job search, make sure you take a look at the toolkit. Tori's going to be also popping the link into the chat. We also have the link down below in the comment section. Also, make sure you get questions in. So I'm going to be sticking around with you guys for a little bit today to answer questions. And then, of course, we are going to be doing resume reviews. I have some amazing resumes to review. Let me take a quick peek and see where we are with questions. Let's see. Shane asks, I think that's how, is that Shane? Shane says, should we add certifications? I got more than 30. Should I include them all? Shane, I would probably not include all of your certifications unless they all relate to the industry. So I would have a nice, clean, streamlined certification section potentially with your education or under education. And then, of course, it depends on what else you have, but just list the certifications that relate to the position. Good question. Let's see, Ronika, what if you worked in a couple of industries? So Ronika, it depends on the position you're applying for. Again, I'm going to say this, and I've said this a lot on this show. Make sure whatever position you're applying for, you are writing your resume for that position or for that industry, no matter what industry you worked in. Focus on your transferable skills. Focus on those skills that your next industry will really value. And you guys, based on these stories that I shared with you today, there are people making career changes and landing dream jobs just based on their career change. So keep in mind that that is still something that's super possible right now. Okay, let me jump into the reviews, and let me also I'm going to show you a screen really quick before I jump into reviews, because we have a lot to cover with these reviews and I'm going to be winded when we're finished. So let me show you this really quickly. This is just a quick example of what's inside the Career Advancement Toolkit. So you'll notice that you have a professional executive resume template. You'll also have a professional cover letter template. You'll have an application follow-up template. You basically have, I'm not going to go through all of them because there's too many to list. You have templates for every part of your job search process, even after you've followed up with your interview, job rejection follow-up, your phone interview, resignation letter, all that good stuff, plus all the bonus videos, plus the cover letter how-to guide, the LinkedIn Essentials Starter Pack, which of course is one of my favorites, and then the ultimate guide to surviving your job search. All of that is included in the Career Advancement Toolkit. So make sure if you do not have that, grab it today. We have a 2-day flash sale running on this toolkit. We may not have it up again for special like this until 2021. Make sure you guys arm yourself with the resources going into the new year. So let's jump into resume reviews. Okay, you guys, we had so many resumes submitted, for this show today. Tori helps me manage my inbox, and I have to tell you, Tori, I'm apologizing, even though I'm not, because we love seeing the resumes, but she's trying to sort through them and get them in the right folder and we had so many, and the ones that I picked, I have notified you guys, by the way, the resumes that I picked. I will be going through these. Make sure as I'm going through this, you guys do get your questions in, because I want to make sure we get questions answered as well. Okay. And by the way, let me mention this too before we jump into these reviews. When I put out the call for resumes, I said make sure you include anonymous contact information. And all I meant by that is just make sure, you'll notice John Doe did that. He gave us a fake name with fake information. I picked those. So if you submitted your resume without fake information, next time submit it with fake information, and you kind of rise to the top a little bit more, because it makes it easier for me to just run through a quick critique. So let's talk about John Doe really quick. First of all, I'll tell John what I love. I love that I can see your name, your contact information. I love that you've included your LinkedIn profile. I'll zoom up here a little bit so you guys can see that. I love also that you are using a unique identifier. So again, if you guys have listened to my live streams before, I love unique identifiers. That just helps the hiring official quickly know what position you're applying for and what they should be considering you for. It basically says, hey, I'm here. This is the job I want. I also like that you have a nice clean summary. You have a professional highlights. Let me tell you what I wasn't too keen on. I didn't love that key competencies and technical skills, that's so small. I couldn't see the text. I would almost say I would increase that. But here's what I would do, John, because I want to show you guys the rest of John's resume. Notice how he's listing 2 really key positions right up here on the top page. I would actually, John, remove competencies and technical skills, and I would put that at the very bottom, and I would put that underneath education. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you have a plethora of experience. Again, this applies to any of my job seekers that have quite a few positions that they can list. Remember, what's going to happen is a hiring official is basically going to read your summary really quick, and then they want to know, what are you doing right now? So the competencies almost detracts from that. Even though I love a good competency section, I'm not opposed to it, but I think in your situation, I would actually take that off, and I would create a technical skills section where you can list some of these items. And then I would put that all at the bottom. And then let's lead with your experience more because you have a really good, unique experience. Now, the only thing I was a little bit confused with, it looks like you're including a paragraph about the company and then you're including your paragraph about you as an operations manager. My recommendation would actually be, and this is just a very minor detail, to just include the paragraph about operations manager and then let's highlight more the company that you're working for, or maybe put it in caps or do something. I don't know if you need to have boutique dog walking service, yada, yada, yada. Because that distracted me. And I was almost like, well, wait a second, is he a dog walker? Like, that's honestly what I thought. And so if you're the operations manager, that's what I want to know. I don't want to all of a sudden see dog walking because I want to be focused on you as an operations manager and not get distracted by that at all. So that's what I would do there. In terms of your all your statements. So that was just a little bit of formatting. One thing, again, I want you to keep in mind is make sure that you are including your action verb, which it looks like you are, include the task, like what was the task you performed and what was the result. Now, you could also include result first. So for example, for anyone that, can see this, he says producing 100%. Let me see if I'm not very good at Adobe. The highlighting skills, let's see. I don't know if I'm going to try and highlight this. I would like to. If anyone knows the tool to select really quick, where he says, hang on, let me see. I don't think that's it. Oh, tools. Here we go. No, sorry. We'll get back to your resume. We'll get back to it. That's too distracting for me. Okay, so the very first highlight, you said produced 100% of all new recurring revenue in the last year through referrals as a result of providing excellent service and fostering strong relationships with clients and partners. Okay, this is a really good example, you guys, of John Doe is leading with the result and then he's telling you the task. So you don't have to have task and result. You can switch the two up. So I love that. I think, John, you've done really good with your statements. You have some really good keywords in here. Again, I would just fix that top part on your formatting. Also, let me show you guys really quickly one more thing, John. I don't love when you have a position on one page and then half of it's on the second page. Like, get all of that up onto that first page, okay? I don't want to have an overlap. Also, John, I would love to see your name at the very top here with your phone number of the second page. So get that at the top so that I know that it's you when I'm on this second page. And then, again, think about those subheading, that sub paragraph that you have when it comes to, let's see, what does the hand do? What is that tool? Anyway, I'm just trying to find the highlight tool. I'll try and find it while I'm talking. And then I think that's good. Education, let's see. I think that looks good, John. I would probably, if I had a little bit more time, I'd probably give a few more details, but let me show you guys really quickly if you're wondering what the template looks like inside of the toolkit. So I give you a couple different templates to choose from. You'll notice that this one, we have our name at the very top, we have the contact information, and then you'll notice the unique identifier with the 3 key skills. You'll notice the paragraph of information, right? That's your summary. Your highlights, you'll notice the highlights are in the middle with the bullet points, and then core competencies. Now, core competencies, I think, are fantastic in this example. However, if you have a lot of work experience and you're trying to fit it all onto that first page, or at least you're trying to fit positions onto that first page, move competencies down or put it into, let me show you what I was talking about when I said get creative. Put it into a technical skills. Oh, can you guys see that? Let me zoom out just a little bit. Shoot, you can't see it, but at the very bottom under education, there's technical skills. For some reason, let me try and zoom out a little bit more. Oh, it's not letting me scroll down. That's too bad. But there's technical skills and professional and volunteer involvement on there. So that's an example. Also notice at the top of the second page, we have the first name and the phone number. So I would highly focus on that. Okay. Let me know. I want to know in the chat too, before I jump into the next resume review, I want to know in the chat really quickly, what is your biggest takeaway so far from today? So we've covered a lot of content already. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is from today. It looks like Tori's saying we have just 4 bonuses left. Fantastic. Thanks, Tori, for welcoming everyone in to whoever grabbed the toolkit. Steve, I'm so glad you're here. Steve is a long time viewer, and I know that you are going through a couple of different career changes right now, Steve. So I'm so happy that you're here, that you're able to tune in with us today. But again, let me know, you guys, really quickly, what is your biggest takeaway so far from today? I'm going to look at a couple other questions. Aaliyah says, is it okay to put a link to your LinkedIn profile on your resume? This is what I normally do. So here's what I do, Aaliyah. I actually include the URL. Let me show you the example again really quickly. I include the URL, but then what you can do, because I don't want them to get distracted, and inside the example it is linked up, but what you could do is deactivate the URL if you wanted, because if you want, unless someone's going to click on it, it will take them directly to your profile. I always include a link to your LinkedIn profile. Really good question there. Jill says, what about using text boxes? So text boxes are, text boxes is not really considered a table. However, I still try and steer away from like anything that's going to jumble up the ATS system. Now, a text box looks fantastic for a human reader because you can add shading to it. You can really call out a specific section on your resume. But at the same time, you want to be really careful, because what we found, and let me show you the Toolkit resume again, what we found in the past. And again, you guys, based on this template that I'm showing you, we adjust this based on what's working right now. So if we find that something's not working on this template, we change it right away. Like we're all about only giving you guys stuff that's working right now. So before, what we used to do in this competency section is that wasn't a text box, but we've switched that out, because what we found is that anytime anyone would submit it to a job board that an applicant tracking system would use, it was confused. It didn't know what that text box was. So then it doesn't display the data correctly to a hiring official. So we took that out of a text box. So that's the reason why I bring that up. But that's a really good question, Jill. Fantastic. Okay, let's jump into our next resume, because I have a few more to review with you guys. Okay, this one, let me pull it up for you really quickly. This one is someone who says a resume of a real estate financial analyst. So I know I get when you submitted this that you were giving us just like anonymous information. So we didn't know who you were, right? That's totally fine. One thing I'd recommend doing, of course, get your contact information at the top if it's not there already. Your name, make it larger than normal. Give us your contact information with your email and your URL. Professional summary. I would love to see your professional summary just a little bit longer. So remember, I said 3 to 4 sentences. I feel like you could really add a little bit more to that. Okay, so I would definitely get your professional summary increased. Let me just see. I can't remember what you had on your second page. Okay, here we go. This is a really good example. So pay attention, you guys, for anyone that has a resume that is multiple pages like this one. One thing, and I'm going to try and hone in on this critique really quickly. One thing you have to remember is that I'm getting lost in the skills, the highlights, and the qualifications. As a hiring official, I want to know, more importantly, like, what's your work experience? What does your work experience look like? Okay. What I would love to see in your resume, this real estate financial analyst, and I know who you are, but I'm not going to say your name. I would love to see you build out a more thorough summary, meaning I want to see a really good title. I want to see really good key skills, just like this example. I want to see a really good summary, and then I want to see some highlights in bullet points, and then I want to see your work experience. Because in your example, Your work experience is way, way, way down here on the next page, okay? I want to see your education after your work experience, not before it. So I would highly recommend getting this into a nice workable section with your work experience and then pop your education under it. Now, let me talk a little bit about the top part because I'm kind of getting lost in the information here. Your skills, you could actually turn this into like a technical skills section, like I mentioned, and pop that at the bottom as well. You could take your highlights section and that could then become your professional highlights. But what I want to see is like maybe 4 to 5, no more than 5 bullet points on your highlights, okay? Then let's get your work experience up here. And I'm going to also say this again, and you guys might have heard me say this before. We don't want to see a 3-page resume. You've got to try and narrow this down to just 2 pages, okay? So some of these older positions, let me show you what you're going to do with those. So I'm going to go to my example again inside the toolkit. I list it inside the toolkit here on the second page. Notice what I'm doing with some of these older positions. I wish I could, oh, there we go. I can highlight. I just had to click on the arrow. I am pretty technically inclined, I promise you guys. Okay, so notice what I've done here is I have company ABC. I'm giving the date that I was employed, and I'm giving the title, and then I'm giving the city and the state or the province or whatever, the location. That's what I want you to do for your experience that is older. So here we go. Let me highlight some of this. Like your real estate analyst, you could possibly do that. Your senior manager position, you could possibly do that. Remember, we do not want any more than 10 to 15 years is a stretch on a resume. We want to know like what you're doing right now. How are you going to help the company right now? How are your skills aligned with what the company needs, all that good stuff. And you have some fantastic experience here, but we just need to kind of like get it in a nice readable format that catches someone's attention really, really quickly. Okay. Awesome, Tori. It looks like you're you got a lot going on in the chat there. You're so amazing. Thanks, Tori, for moderating for me. Okay, someone asked, and we'll get into, I have more resumes to review with you guys, and hopefully you are learning from other people and what other people are doing. We had so many resumes come in yesterday to my inbox, and it was so hard, I told you guys, to narrow down on the ones that to review, but these are the ones that I thought everyone could kind of learn from this. So let me answer a couple questions before we get into the other resumes. So someone says, so you update the career advancement toolkit as things in the job search world change like ATS and other systems. Yes. So what we do very frequently is anytime we see like a change in what's happening on the market. So this is where, I'm very close with like other career coaches out there, professional resume writers, recruiters, people that are actively hiring. And I run all this stuff by all my posse, and we make sure that everything that we put in the toolkit is standard for today's market. If it's not working, I pop in and I change it as fast as I can, and I get you the most updated information. So the toolkit, especially, we're constantly adding new templates and new resources and anything else. And by the way, let me mention to this really quickly. If you're kind of on the fence with the toolkit, this is lifetime access. So you get lifetime access to this resource. So you can log in, and I've had this happen to people before where like a year ago they used the resources and they landed their dream job and all things were going fantastic, and then COVID hit, okay? COVID came and it like kind of swept the rug out from under all of us, it seems like, and now they're back at it. And now they have access to the toolkit and they can get in and they can get all the new templates and all the new resources. So keep that in mind if you're kind of on the fence wondering if you should grab the toolkit. Okay, Abraham says, must I include the achievement statements in the professional summary? Yes. Anytime you can include an achievement statement, definitely get it in there. Now, the way that I've structured the achievement statements, the professional summary in the toolkit is I show you like in sentence 1, say this, in sentence 2, say this, in sentence 3, like I tell you exactly what to say sentence per sentence. You just have to follow what I tell you. And then If you can get your numbers in there, like measurements of time, data, money, any of that good stuff, then you'll go in and fill in kind of the missing pieces. Good question. Let's see. Russell is saying, can you go back over highlights? Yes, we'll do highlights in a second here. I'll show that again when I'm reviewing some of these others. Okay, William says, when uploading a resume, should the cover letter be in the same document? Okay, this is such a good question. It totally depends on the position, and it depends on how you're delivering your resume. So if you are delivering your resume to a person, okay, like you've been given the name of a person, or you know the hiring official, or you're submitting it to someone, I always say include a cover letter with it, unless the posting says no cover letters. If it says no cover letters, don't include a cover letter. But if it doesn't say that, include a cover letter. Listen, you guys, cover letters are so valuable. I show this inside of the toolkit, and for anyone that's grabbing the toolkit right now, you have access to my cover letter workshop. Your cover letter is a mini presentation about you. So when you write a cover letter, I know I'm getting on a tangent of cover letters, but when you write a cover letter, it's kind of like you shaping your career story. So then when you go into an interview, you feel so much better talking about yourself and selling yourself because you've written it down in your cover letter. So even if the company says it's not mentioned, I still say include it. If they say don't send one, of course, don't send one, but always include one if you can. Matt says, should I acknowledge that I'm making a career switch in my resume? No, you don't need to mention that in the resume at all. Think of your resume as just specifically like the data. You're not going to be like, oh, hey, I'm switching careers. Like, you're not going to have a line at all about that. What you are going to do, however, though, Matt, is you're going to tailor your resume specifically to the position, and you're going to pull out like the experience that you might have that relates to that new position. That's what you're going to emphasize in your resume. Good question. Test Weasel, I love your screen name, says, is a 3-page resume too long? Yes, it is if you are going for like a general working professional position. If you're in academia, it's not too long. But if you are a professional that's going out into corporate America, let's just call it, you want to keep to a 2-page. If you have less than 5 years of work experience, a 1-page. Good question. Okay, let's jump into the next resume. Oh, I have another John Doe, by the way. Thanks to all those that submitted their resume that actually disguised your information, because it makes it so much easier for me. Okay, let's go through John Doe's really quick. What I love about John Doe's resume, first of all, is I love that you are creating a clear hierarchy. Okay, so you're giving us your unique identifier, which is a business professional with technical acumen. You're giving us key skills, professional history, yada, yada, yada. I also love, John, what you've done here is I can see clearly who you've worked for, what the position title is. I have a nice little paragraph of information about it, and then you're giving me some of your achievement statements, which is fantastic. So let's kind of look at the rest of this. I have some more work experience here, and then education. So let me give you kudos. Number one, you get a 10 out of 10 for the length of your resume. The only thing I'd maybe add is a technical skills section. I'm a big proponent of technical skills, you guys, only because it's like just another little section you can add if you have that space at the bottom, okay? What I'm going to tell you though, John, is let's go through a little bit of the formatting. So I kind of want to see your name a little bit bigger. I do like that I can see it, but let's bring a little bit more attention to your name. The other thing I want to know, John, is you have business professional with technical acumen. That kind of confused me in terms of like, what is a business professional? What does that mean to you? Like, I want to get very specific with that title that you're calling yourself. What I would love to see instead is if you look down here at your, you have property management technician. I mean, what's coming to mind here is, could you call yourself a property manager, or what could you call yourself up here based on the position you're applying for? That's what I would love to see in that section. I do see that you've been an adjunct instructor. If you are doing an adjunct instructor position, you could potentially switch that top section out for the title, okay, of what the position is. Just make that fluid. Like this is going to be something that you're changing based on the position, okay? Let me also point out this: dynamic, self-motivated, and articulate business professional. I want to know for sure, John Doe, that dynamic, self-motivated, and articulate are listed in the job posting. If they're not calling for any of these skills, you better make sure you change that for the skills they're calling for, okay? If they're not mentioning dynamic and self-motivated in the posting, don't include it, but include what they are listing. I also want to touch on this business professional again. So business professional is so general. Like what are you? Are you a dynamic, self-motivated, and articulate property manager? Like let's get specific with that, or adjunct instructor, or whatever that position is. I want to have it here, and I want to see it in bold. Don't be afraid to bold that title, okay? Because business professional to me is so broad. Like I just want to get a little bit more specific, okay? I would also change ability to work with, I want to see specializing in or expertise in. Okay, I want to, because yeah, you have this ability, but let's get specific with like, what's your specialty? What's your expertise? Like, let's get in more into that. Okay, here's another thing too. So I don't mind this section. I think this is okay. I think you've done well with the key skills and attributes. I think you're good having it at the top. Let me just see, what does Argosy? Okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't know if I would change that up. I would just make sure, let's touch on this a little bit, that whatever you're listing in this key skills and attributes, and again, I call it competencies or key competencies or core competencies. You could name it whatever you want. Remember, you guys, there's no right or wrong way to write a resume. Like you're just writing one based on your experience and what's going to show you in the best possible light, okay? So when we're looking at key skills and attributes, make sure, John, that anything you list here, that's in the posting. You don't want to like randomly list some random skills. And let me also mention this too, because you start with communication skills. Is there something stronger you can start with? Like something more specific to the job posting that you can start with? That's really what I want to see, because all of us have communication skills, right? That would be something, even though that's a soft skill, and I do want you to include soft skills, I want to see something that's specifically related to the posting or the job that you are applying for. Also, I would love to see this in caps, and I would love to see professional history in caps, or you could even call it work experience or professional experience. I don't know if I love the word history, only because it just seems like a word that's like, this is my history. Like, let's do like experience, or let's do you know what I mean? I'm sure you guys get that. I would also love to see, John, and we'll move on to the other. I have a couple more resumes to review with you guys. Notice how, okay, this is what I was going to mention. You have Argosy University capitalized. I would love to see the same with the other position at the top. Or here's another thing you could do: rather than capitalizing the company, capitalize the position titles. Also, John Doe up here, I would love to see, rather than it's like this bold name on the top of the second page, what I would love to see you do, let me show the template again in the toolkit. What I'd love to see you do instead is include like a smaller name with your number at the top, rather than like big, bold in the center. Let's kind of like put it off to the side. And whoops, wrong resume. Let me see, what else was there? I think we could, John, let me just throw this out there because I want to get to these other resumes really quickly too. I think you could, let's evaluate each of these bullet points and make sure that they fit within, like, you're giving us your task and you're giving us results. Like, for example, if I jump down to your business-wise experience, I'm loving these numbers. Training more than 300 sales personnel. Like, can we get more of those numbers in here? Like, even if it's just an estimate, did you increase sales in some way? Did you decrease costs? Did you increase revenue? Did you, especially with all these good titles that you have, I'm sure you have done some of that. Let's get like some more of that in here. And I think that will kind of like button up your resume and make it even better. Okay, fantastic. I want to see, we have a couple more. I want to go through this one with you guys really quickly, but let me just kind of see where you guys are in the chat just to kind of see what we've got going on. Also, tell me in the chat too, what are you guys learning from these other resumes? So I asked you earlier, what's your biggest takeaway from today's live stream? I want to know, what are you learning from these other resumes? So looking at other people and what's going on with their resume, let me know what you're learning. Let me just see. I saw a comment by Steve. Steve says, "Oh, everyone, Heather is the best in the business." You're so great, Steve. I've purchased several of her products. The latest today, the Career Advancement Toolkit. Everyone here, buy them now. Worth every penny. Steve, you're probably one of my biggest fans. Thanks for mentioning that. Let's see. Someone says, "Would you be interested in teaching a lesson on resume writing for my junior class?" Totally. Yes, I love teaching resume writing. we're always talking about this on my channel here. Okay, I want to pop in because I saw a couple of questions. Jason says, "What about putting a border around the text of core competencies to simulate a text box?" You could do that, Jason. So I think we had that before. So we've tested a couple of different things with the core competencies, where it's just like a black border. I almost wonder though if the ATS reads that as like a box or a block. So I would do that with hesitation. Again, if you look at the what we've done to the latest version, we're just, we notice core competencies again, you guys. It's not like a super big. It's actually the same font. Oh, sorry, I'm not even sharing the screen with you. It's not the same font as the experience. It's actually the same font as our key skills. So it's kind of leading the eye down the page a little bit. But again, I would be hesitant to put a box. You could, and what you could do is test it on JobScan. So what I'd recommend doing is going to JobScan and popping your resume in there and then popping a job posting, running it to see what it says about it. But I would follow kind of like what we have done so far. Ben says, "Do we need to include a community college education if we have a bachelor's degree?" Ben, I don't think so. What I would do if I were you is I would just include your degree. So if you have like an associate's degree, most likely you don't need to include a bachelor's degree. However, there is kind of an exception to this. Let me show you the example here really quick. Notice in this in the example here, we have the education listed, right? But hang on, let me see if I can zoom in. I wonder if there we go. Okay, awesome. We have the education listed and we have 2 degrees. You could list your associate's degree if, and I'm assuming that's what it is an associate's degree, if it's like a degree that relates specifically to your industry. So for example, we might have someone that got a bachelor's degree in one topic and then got an associate's degree in a totally separate topic. And now they're going for positions where they got that associate's degree. In that case, I would list it. If not, I would just list the bachelor's degree. Good question. Let's see. Janetta says, "What if you spent 21 years at one company?" So Janetta, my recommendation for you would be see if there's a way that you can kind of section out your years, meaning like showing an advancement. So one of the things as hiring officials that we love to see is like, you maybe started in this position, but over time you worked your way up into the next position, and then you worked your way up into the next position. So rather than staying stagnant for 21 years, how did you work your way up? So I would list the company name, and then I would try and separate out those titles if you can to show some sort of advancement. Ranika, is it better to list jobs that are older than 5 years without bullet points? No, it's not. Well, it depends on your situation, Ranika. So again, in this example, I keep going back to this, you guys, because it is like the best way for me to show you how to do this. In our example here, notice that this position is old, like it's from 2000 to 2006, right? So if you have a position that's more than 5 years old, we still want to know what you did, because 5 years is still pretty recent. So I would definitely include bullet points there. And again, try your very best to get it into your achievement statements. Okay, with that being said, let's jump into this resume really quickly. So this is someone who sent their resume. They have an MBA, they've got a performance summary, all that good stuff. Let's go in and kind of break this down a little bit. So what I love, first of all, is I love that I can see like some of your skills. I love that I can see your experience. Like, you know, you've done fantastic listing experience in education. Now let's talk about what we can do to make this even better. So MBA, my MBA friend, what I want to see is some sort of separation between each section. So again, I'm going to go back to the example because this is the best way for me to show you how to do this. Notice how Sally Smith has a line under her name. Her name's pretty big. She also has an MBA, and then she has her contact information. That's what I would love to see you do. So at the top here, let's get a line under your name, and then let's include your contact information. And then what I want you to do is right under that, that's where I want you to include your title. So for example, you have marketing strategy, project manage, marketing automation. Let's give yourself a title, and I'm just going to make this up. You have to decide on the best title for you. Let's give this let's say you're a project manager, okay? That's what I want to see here in bold. And then I want to see underneath that marketing strategy, marketing automation, and then let's throw in one more, okay? Do you guys see what I'm saying with this? Sorry, let me get to this with that resume. So I want her to have project manager, marketing strategy, marketing automation, and then give us one more key skill. That's how I want you to format the top of your resume. And then you can take out the word performance summary. And again, here's where we go. You have reliable, energetic, and detail-oriented, continuous improvement, digital marketing strategist. Let's put continuous improvement. Well, no, let's not do that. Let's do reliable, energetic, and detail-oriented. Take out continuous improvement and put digital marketing strategist. Now that's what I'm talking about in terms of a title. Like that's what I want to see, and I want to see it bold, okay? And again, I'm going to say the same thing that I said to John Doe. All my multiple John Does here. Make sure these words that you're listing here, those are in the job posting. So if they're not saying they need someone that's reliable, energetic, and detail-oriented, you've got to get rid of those, and you've got to put in what they're asking for, okay? Make sure you get that in there. I'd love that you have expertise in, I can see that you probably kind of followed along. I do have a free resume template out there. I can see you kind of followed along with that one. Expertise in, I love that. Extensive experience using. I think that's okay. I think that's good. What I would love to see you do though is for your situation. And again, you guys, I'm giving feedback based on what I'm seeing on the rest of the resume. In your situation, what I'd love to see you do is remove the competency section, because I am seeing quite a bit of work experience. And again, I'm going to say it again, put a technical skill section at the bottom under education. Okay. Then what I would love to see you do is let's pull up your career highlights. And again, I like that you've named it that. Remember, you guys, you don't have to keep everything named the same. Like you can switch up these names and the headlines. I just give it to you based on recommendations and what I see works really well. So bring up career highlights, put that right under the summary. And let me just see, make sure this is capped too. I want career highlights to be capped. I want experience to be capped, okay? And what I'd love to see you do too is move career highlights off to the left so it's aligned with experience. Do you guys see what I'm talking about with that one? Let me just see some of your bullet points. Manage social media platforms, increasing social media followers by 165%. Awesome. I love that. Built first Facebook community. I don't know if I would have the word first. Let's say built Facebook community, build follower, increasing follower base by 1,000, put a comma between the 1,000 and the 2. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So here's how I would revise this. I would say built, and here's another thing. I'm going to give you guys some like keywords. Well, really not keywords, but like buzzwords kind of, but in a good way. So I would say built engaging Facebook community, or built, give that Facebook community a descriptive word, like describe it in some way, like thriving, whatever, built thriving Facebook community, increasing follower base by 1,002 members in a 3-month period. So I just want to get a little bit more detailed on that. And do the same with all these. I love that you have your numbers and data and all that good stuff in there. That's fantastic. Marketing and strategy analyst. Perfect. You'll have the company name. Also, let me mention one more thing to you on the dates. So here's another thing that we're finding that works really well with the dates right now. Let me show you in the toolkit. We're finding that dates that are written in like a data format, like 07, 213 works really well. You could even take out the 0 and just have the month hyphen year and then a slash and then the next date. So notice how we've formatted the dates. You'll see that in the toolkit, in the template there. That's how I would format your dates. Awesome. Okay, the next thing I would love to see you do, again, we don't want to ever see where the position is half on one page and part on the other. We need to get it all the way up, okay? Put that up to the first page, which means you may have to revise some of these achievement statements of yours to get everything up. Also, I'm going to make one note really quick, you guys, on white space, okay? Notice how she or he, let's see, are we with a she or a he? I'm not sure. It could be anyone. Partner with cross-functional teams, yada, yada, yada. Notice how this statement is like partway on the second line. I don't love that. Like if you're going to use a second line, let's at least get halfway through that second line with information. So it either means you need to streamline this sentence and get it onto one page, or you need to give us some more information, or excuse me, one line, or give us some more information so it goes to like the second line, okay? Or halfway through that second line. And I would do that on all of those. That's again like just a good common practice for white space. And I would do the same with all of these. And then let's get a good, this is what I'd love to see you do. Let's get a technical skills section at the bottom here because we want to fill out our 2 pages. And then let's get, if you have like volunteer experience, you could put on there. Maybe you're a member of like, you have memberships you could put on there. Let me scroll down so you guys, let's see if this, oh, I know, I have to zoom in. Let me see so you guys can see this. So you can see on this resume after education, there's not much. What I'm advising is get some other, like, let's add some things to that to just beef it up just a little bit. But other than that, I think you have a really good start. If you can get it into the template here, I think that's going to really, really be valuable for you. Awesome. Okay, you guys, I'm going to answer some more questions, but really, really, really quickly, let me pop over to this page. If you have not yet grabbed the toolkit, you guys are going to get dozens of templates in here. You'll have access to bonus videos. Also, when we make changes to the templates and we upload them to the learning management system that you'll have access to, you can access these templates, okay? This is lifetime access. You'll get access to bonus videos that I put in there time after time, any new templates, cover letter, resources, LinkedIn, my LinkedIn Essentials starter pack, my job search, surviving your job search guide, so many fantastic resources in there. You have lifetime access to it. You will be able to jump in a year, in 2 years, whenever, and access that information. Okay. Let me just see. I want to kind of see where you guys are again in the chat. Let's see. Is it Ave? Says, what size of font is best to use? Good question. So when it comes to the size of your resume, like the font styles and the choices and all that stuff that you use, I don't want you to go any smaller than a 10-point font, and I don't want you to go any larger than a 12-point. I like to recommend starting at an 11 and work your way from there. Like if you find that you need to scrunch everything up just a little bit because it's going over onto one page or another page, take it down to a 10-point font. If you feel like you have a little bit more space, you could do a 12-point. I like 11 though, if I had to give you like an exact font. Let's see. Tori, feel free to call out any of these questions if I need to, anyone that's standing out over some others. I know there's quite a few in here. Let's see. What if I don't have any experience since I'm a fresh graduate? Okay, this is such a good question. Let me take a quick drink, guys. One thing I'd recommend when it comes to experience as a brand new student is you have to start focusing on kind of some of these other areas where you shine. So like schoolwork, projects, committees, debate clubs, like all that stuff that you do when you're in university, when you're in college. What are those things that you're doing to kind of like that, because you maybe can't work full time because you're a student, right? What are projects that you're working on? Again, your volunteer work. Think about things that you're doing right now that's adding to your skill set that you can show an employer. So focus on some of those sections. If you're, like, I don't have a lot of work experience, just focus on some of those other things that you're doing and really bring attention to that on your resume. William, is it necessary to plug your education degree with GPA, especially if it's 4.0? What I have found is recent graduates, or anyone that's a student in school right now, I actually don't think it's a bad thing to list your GPA if you're a student, okay, or just graduated. If you've been out of school for a long time like me, or you've been in the job market for a while, you don't need to include GPA and all that stuff. What I do like to advise, again, let me show you guys this example because this shows you the best way to list your education, is just give us the school, give us where the school is located, give us the degree, and give us the name of your degree. That's it. That's all you have to do. Or the study, the emphasis, or whatever, okay? You don't need to do anything fancier than that, okay? Let me scroll in just a little bit and you guys can see both of these, okay? And then the year, if you want to give us the year graduated. If it's been a while and it's, you graduated maybe like the 90s or whatever, you could leave the year off if you wanted. Good questions, you guys. I love it. Okay, Java says, if accomplishments are 10 years ago, should we include them on our resume? I think you can, depending on what the accomplishment was. So let's say, for example, you have a professional highlight section and you did something 10 years ago that was like super remarkable, okay? I'm okay with you putting it in that professional highlight section as a bullet point. Especially if you have it listed as a position and you're not giving us all the details because it was older, it's okay to pop that in there. And then in the interview, most likely they're going to ask you, hey, can you tell us about this thing that you listed that was so remarkable, yada, yada, yada. And then you can explain it more in the interview. Mish says, is there a way to test your current resume against ATS? Yes, totally. Okay, here's what I would do. Go to jobscan.co and pop your resume. Let me see if I can get the link for you guys really quickly. Or excuse me, it's not jobscan.co. Yeah, it is. I thought maybe it was jobscan.com, but it's actually jobscan.co. I popped that into the chat for you. Go there, add your resume. You can do a free, I think they give you 5 free scans a month. Add your resume, add a posting. So you can add a posting and it will compare and tell you how you match up to that posting. And it tells you exactly what words you're missing or what words are in the posting that you don't have. Awesome. Okay, what if you have a gap of over 1 year or more in the relevant industry you want to apply for? Okay, here's the thing. I would not let gaps hold you back. So you guys, I get emails and posts every day from people that are like, I used your resume advice and I was out of work for 3 years and I got a job, or I was out of work for 1.5 years and I got a job, or I was out of work for 6 months and I got a job. Don't let your gap hold you back. Don't focus on the gap. What I want you to focus on is focus on what relevant experience you have. And again, if you follow the templates inside the toolkit, you'll be able to compose a really strong summary, that whole entire section at the top that shows what you are doing, where you're going, what position you want. And then you can also focus on what did you do during that year? And of course, this is going to be more for the interview. What did you do during that year that you were off of work? Were you a part of any clubs? Were you a part of any memberships? Were you whatever that looks like to you? That's what you can talk about in the interview. But the thing is keep in mind, I mentioned earlier, you guys, you want to sell them with the top part of your resume. You want to sell them. You want to give them that trailer where they're like, oh, I want to watch the rest of this movie. And it gets them to take action on you right then. That's why that summary is so, so, so important. And then when they're glancing through the work experience and some of the other things that you've done, they're not as concerned about that gap. Okay, so keep that in mind. Such a good question. You guys had so many amazing thoughts and comments today. Thank you so much for attending. Again, remember, flash sale on the toolkit. If you have not yet grabbed it, make sure you do. Tori, thanks so much for monitoring the chat. It looks like it was kind of lively today. I think the more visitors we get to the channel, the more lively the discussions get. So thanks so much, you guys, for tuning in to today's live stream. Any questions you have after we finish today, or if you're watching the replay, make sure you put into the comments down below what your question is, and we will answer them. Gary says, Heather, Tori, what is the liquid you are drinking? It's water. I wish it was something a little bit more juicy, but you can see it's water. Something with a little bit more kick. It's not, normally I have a Red Bull can here and I know that's not healthy, but I do drink that. Yes. Anyway, okay, guys, awesome. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I will see you guys next week on my channel for a brand new video. Watch for that to publish, and hopefully I'll see you also inside the toolkit. If you have any questions, make sure you let me or Tori know. We are here to help you guys in your job search so that you can find a job you love and grow in a field you love. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Of course, stay happy and stay healthy and stay safe, and we'll talk soon.